didn't like the last year. Get me out of here. So I know how you feel, but I'm just a little story about myself. I come from Ghana, grew up in Ghana, tiny little village in the extreme northern part of Ghana, very close to Burkina Faso. You will know it in the Upper East region, maybe. Grew up village where we never saw electricity, we never had running water. Grew up with our parents because I had beautiful parents. They didn't live long. They died so young. I grew up with the pain of not knowing what it means to have a parent. We're 4 little brothers. Had to grow up with our parents. It was not fun. We're not very happy kids. A lot of the times we're very hungry kids. We cried for food, we fought for food. Unfortunately, we all didn't still survive. 2 of my little siblings also died. My oldest brother, he just couldn't handle it, so he decided to run away from the little village. And he has never come back. I stayed there. Then Catholic Relief Services came there. I was not Christian. I don't know who Catholic Relief Services came from, but it's one of the biggest humanitarian development agencies of the American Catholic community that works in 100 and over countries, and Ghana is one of them. So they came to the little village, built a school. I hated school. I didn't like school. My whole family nobody had been to school. My parents don't know what it means to go to school. They would prefer me doing something else. But I think they tricked me to go to the school. The trick was that every morning they provided just a little snack in that village school for any child who came. I loved the snack. I hated the school. They tied them together. So I was taken hostage. So I kept going to that little village school. Today I stand here joyfully still alive, and holding a master's in public administration from California. And I'm back home in Ghana. And for 15 years, I have worked for Catholic Relief Services in Ghana. And my job has essentially been tricking children to go to school. They trick me, now I can trick other children. Not only that, I'm blessed with a wife and 4 children. And my children will never be hungry again. And they are in school. Because today I can provide a snack, I can provide 3 meals for my children. And they are in school. So whether they like it or not. But now I understand the value of education. That education is simply liberation. But I just wanted to imagine the power of that little snack in the life of a hungry child in a little village somewhere. If that little snack was never offered in that village school, I would never have gone to that school. Never. It was not on my agenda at all. But I went there, received that little snack. Today my story is no longer the same. And I'm grateful. In a world of so many challenges, a lot of all that, sometimes all that it takes is just a little act of kindness, a little act of love. Can save a life, make a big change. And you know, we talk a lot about being voices for the voiceless, but it's great to be voices for the voiceless, but sometimes at some point it's important to actually give a voice to the voiceless. And that little snack that tricked me to go to school was the voice that I received. Teaching children, teaching people to catch fish is great, but at some point it's important to actually, giving fish to the children is okay. At some point it's better to teach them to catch fish. Give them the skills and the tools to be able to catch the fish, and they'll eat fish for the rest of their lives. And so I am just happy I'm here. But I'm here because I've traveled to 49 states now, just one more state. And all I'm doing is just saying thank you, because all that food for education, food for peace, food for health, and name it, it all came from this country, Farm Bill, McGovern-Dole food program. It all came from USAID, it came from American Catholics. And so sometimes it's important to see a face. It's important to hear the word thank you. And that's my mission here, 49 states. lots of schools, lots of universities, lots of Catholic schools and all that. But it's the same message, gratitude. Thank you.
Today we were talking a lot about climate change.
Yeah.
And I showed a picture from Ghana. And maybe you could just talk about what you've seen with regard to climate change in your own country.
Yeah. Well, the word climate change used to be very strange to us. Growing up in a little village, I didn't know what climate change was. But now it's no longer a strange word to me, because when I was growing up in Ghana, we had 2 seasons. And the seasons were rainy season and dry season, period. And usually you can almost always predict when the rain will start and when it will end. Now that is history. You can no longer predict. The rain is never, it's either too much, too little, too late, too early. There's always a problem. It's never enough. And you know, when you come from a country where a lot of the farmers don't have a lot of equipment, it's all manual labor. They work so hard. But when the rain fails, all your labor will be in vain. It is now, I'm beginning to realize, and every year, either it's a drought that causes a lot, or it's a flood that destroys the crops. And I just came from Spokane. I was in Madison, Wisconsin, Walla Walla, a lot of places. And I see, you know, the valleys of Yakima, where they farm all the fruits here. In Madison, where they do all the wheat and all. And I saw vast expanse of land. And they have sprinklers going off whenever they need the water. And so whether it's dry season, whether rain or no rain, the crops will still have good time to grow and harvest will be great. But where you have people and basically it's manual, it's very hard. But when you talk of climate change, I see people, what we do, they burn the grass, a lot of bush burning, a lot of cutting of the trees as fuel for cooking, because that's the only way they have, because I think government internationally, the programs that about gas, making gas cheap for people to use it to cook so that they can save the environment, save the trees. So they introduced gas and made it so cheap. People started to use it, it became expensive. People can no longer, so they've gone back to the trees. So a lot of trees are being felled, and then they use it, they burn it into charcoal, or just they use that to cook. And so that is the fuel for cooking. So, and it's cutting down the trees and just devouring all the bush and the trees and everything. And the education about replacing a tree when you cut a tree is not so much there. It's taking place, but it's not enough. And they also cut the trees because some people still live in houses where they have to use wood to roof and to build it, so they still cut the trees for building, for construction, for cooking, for a lot of stuff. And the grass also for roofing houses, and they still burn the bush. And you know why they burn the bush? That's the way they get away. They get rid of reptiles and animals, dangerous animals, and name it and everything. A way of life. But the way of life can destroy our own selves. So it's high time we think about it, we talk about it, we educate. And I know that the government has programs going on trying to educate people, to sensitize people about being mindful of how we use this environment. We use our natural resources. Depending on how we use them will determine whether we live or we all die. So I have become more conscious of climate change because it's right there. You can't deny that it's not there. Even in the village. Yes, you talk about emissions. You talk about this. In my village, there's probably 1 car or 2 cars, so we don't talk about emissions. There's no emission. Maybe you have a few market trucks or some few cars and motorcycles pass around. So not that, but burning the bush is equally dangerous. Not planting trees, and a lot of stuff that we need to really get educated and get up and do in order to save the environment. Because whether we live or die depends on the environment, and we need to be conscious of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's very important that you've come, even if only for 10 minutes, just so that they can, hear your story and hear your voice, and help us to realize that we're all brothers and sisters, despite the fact that there's oceans between us, and to have us always be thinking about our actions here in the United States, how we impact people around the world. So thank you very much, Thomas.
Thank you, and we play a lot of soccer. Ghana and the U.S. met in a lot of World Cups. And 2 of them we sent you back home. The last one you sent us back home, that's very fair.
But thank you so much.
Thank you too.